more on this story, we can bring in our international affairs editor, Angela Diffley. Angela, good afternoon to you. Why is this delegation doing this?
The main reason is that this war, although not directly involving Africa, is having a significant impact on most African countries. A lot of countries in Africa are dependent on Ukraine for grain and Russia for fertilizer. They're very reliant on those two. And at the moment, Russia has regularly threatened that it might pull out of the accord, which it is currently in, under which it allows Ukraine to export via the Black Sea some grain, which then ends up, a lot of it, in Africa. Equally, this delegation might try to persuade Kyiv to ease some of its restrictions on the export of Russian fertilizer. So those are very practical, concrete aims that this delegation hopes to get some advance on. As well as that, if you look at the makeup of this delegation, one of the key movers and shakers behind it was Cyril Rhamaposa, the South African president. And our viewers might remember not so long ago, the Americans accused South Africa of trying to ship arms to Russia. And Rhamaposa denied it. There's an investigation underway in South Africa on that issue. And of course, South Africa isn't obliged to follow the West in this war, but Washington let it be known that if South Africa decides that it might support Russia in this war, then the favourable beneficial trade arrangements with the United States might be reconsidered. And so it's possible that this delegation, Rhamaposa is very keen to say South Africa is neutral in this conflict and not pro-Russian. Until then, if you look at the 7 countries involved in this, South Africa had been seen to be leaning a little bit towards Russia, as had Uganda, and otherwise Zambia and the Comoros, slightly more Western-leaning, the other 3 countries broadly non-aligned. So this is meant to look like a non-aligned mission. Another reason for it is that African countries regularly say they would like a bigger voice in international affairs. They would like a bigger voice at the UN. Here is a chance to do something.
And given that the Ukrainians have tried to sway Africa in the past few months, we had Ukraine's foreign minister dispatched to the continent. Angela, will this peace mission make any difference at all, given that there's so much emphasis being placed on this Ukrainian counteroffensive that's underway?
Precisely. The timing is not propitious. Even as they arrived, Kyiv was being bombarded by Russian missiles and drones. And so that will give the delegation a taste of what daily life is like for many people in Ukraine. At the moment, neither Russia nor Ukraine is in any mood for peace. That is important to note. That said, this delegation will have fairly limited objectives. They want just to get some sort of talks at a very background level going. They will want to look at issues which are more peripheral, the grain deal, the fertilizer arrangements, important, not peripheral, but they're not military, and also perhaps prisoner swaps. They might try to see some movement on that. They might look at the likelihood or the possibility of lifting the international arrest warrant on Putin. So those are areas which might be discussed. The big issue is that Africa doesn't have very much leverage in this, and so that really limits the chances of this coming to anything. That said, Ukraine very keen to get better relations with Africa. Russia has long nurtured its relationships with different African countries, and Ukraine has lately realised that it wants Africa on board.
Angela, thank you very much for that. Angela Diffley there.